The city lights painted streaks of color against the night sky as the streets hummed with activity. Among the bustling chaos, a lone Uber driver named Mark pulled up to a curb. Ready to pick up his next passenger, his eyes met the glowing screen of his phone as he received a ride request from a nearby location. Minutes later, a woman named Sarah climbed into the backseat of the car. She had an air of unease about her, a subtle tension that piqued Mark's curiosity. As he began the journey, he couldn't help but notice that Sarah seemed to be glancing over her shoulder, her gaze flickering toward the rearview mirror, as if searching for something or someone. The atmosphere inside the car was tense, the silence punctuated only by the hum of the engine and the distant sounds of the city. Mark stole occasional glances at his passenger through the rearview mirror, his curiosity growing with each passing moment. He had been driving for Uber long enough to recognize when something was off, and Sarah's behavior set off alarm bells in his mind. "Is everything all right?" Mark finally asked, unable to ignore the palpable tension any longer. Sarah's eyes met his in the mirror, and for a brief moment, Mark caught a glimpse of fear in her expression. She hesitated before responding, Yeah, I'm fine. Just a long day, you know." Mark couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, but he decided not to press further. He focused on the road, navigating the city's streets, while keeping a watchful eye on his passenger's reflection. As the ride continued, Mark's suspicions deepened. He noticed that Sarah seemed to be directing him through a circuitous route, as if she was intentionally avoiding certain areas. The tension in the car was palpable, and the feeling of unease seemed to spread, enveloping Mark as well. Eventually, Sarah instructed Mark to pull over at an unassuming street corner. She glanced around, her gaze shifting nervously, before turning to Mark. "I'll get out here," she said abruptly. Mark's concern grew, and he looked at her with a mixture of curiosity and worry. "Are you sure? This isn't exactly a safe area to be getting out at night." Sarah's eyes met his again, and this time her fear was undeniable. "I appreciate the concern, but I'll be fine. Just drive away as soon as I'm out." As Sarah exited the car and disappeared into the shadows, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that he had just been a part of something much bigger than a simple Uber ride. His mind raced with questions, and he found himself unable to ignore the sense of danger that lingered in the air. Determined to uncover the truth, Mark decided to do some investigating of his own. He retraced the route they had taken, paying close attention to the areas Sarah had seemed eager to avoid. It wasn't long before he stumbled upon a rundown building that seemed to be the epicenter of the mystery. Mark's curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to enter the building. As he navigated the dimly lit corridors, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was stepping into the heart of something sinister. He eventually stumbled upon a room that was filled with a mix of people, some engrossed in hushed conversations, others exchanging furtive glances. The room fell silent as Mark entered, his presence drawing the attention of the occupants. He quickly realized that he had stumbled upon a meeting of individuals who were engaged in activities far from legal. Their tense expressions and guarded demeanor only heightened the atmosphere of suspicion that had surrounded the Uber ride. As Mark observed from the shadows, he pieced together that Sarah had been involved in a dangerous game of information exchange. The people in the room were part of a secretive network that dealt in illicit dealings, espionage, and high-stakes exchanges. The Uber ride had been a pivotal moment in their intricate web of secrecy. Before Mark could make his exit, he was discovered by one of the attendees, a man who had a cold and calculating look in his eyes. "Who are you?" the man demanded, his voice dripping with suspicion. Mark's heart raced as he struggled to come up with a response. I was just looking for someone," he stammered, trying to sound as innocent as possible. The man's eyes narrowed, and Mark could tell that his story wasn't convincing anyone. Just as the situation seemed to be escalating, a familiar voice cut through the tension. "Mark, right?" It was Sarah, standing at the doorway with a mixture of relief and concern in her eyes. Mark nodded, relieved to see her but still uncertain of the situation. Sarah stepped forward, explaining to the man that Mark had inadvertently stumbled upon their meeting and had no intention of causing trouble. The man seemed to weigh his options for a moment before finally nodding. "Fine, but if you breathe a word about this to anyone, you won't be so lucky next time." With that ominous warning, Mark was allowed to leave the building, his mind racing with the events he had witnessed. As he walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had uncovered a web of secrets far more sinister than he could have imagined. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the suspicious Uber ride and the enigmatic meeting continued to haunt Mark's thought. He couldn't forget the faces of those involved, the atmosphere of suspicion, and the sense of danger that had surrounded him. The boundaries between his everyday life as an Uber driver and the hidden world of secrecy he had stumbled upon had been irrevocably blurred. In the end, Mark was left with more questions than answers. The ride that had seemed so ordinary had led him down a rabbit hole of suspicion, intrigue, and danger. The memory of that fateful night served as a reminder that even the most mundane situations could conceal a web of secrets, leaving him forever changed by the ride of shadows he had unwittingly become a part of. In the aftermath of the enigmatic Uber ride and the encounter at the rundown building, Mark found his life forever changed. The line between his role as an Uber driver and the sinister world he had glimpsed was blurred. He researched those involved, revealing a complex network of danger and intrigue. Mark and Sarah formed an alliance, delving deeper into the network's activities. Their investigation unveiled connections to organized crime and international espionage. Their determination attracted allies and adversaries, leading to risky encounters and constant danger. Their efforts culminated in exposing the network's activities, resulting in arrests and dismantling. Mark and Sarah emerged as unlikely heroes, forever transformed by their journey. As the dust settled, Mark and Sarah found themselves on the other side of the ordeal, forever changed by their experiences. Their paths had crossed through an ordinary Uber ride, but their journey had transformed them into unlikely heroes in the battle against corruption and secrecy. The sinister narrative they had stumbled upon had been a catalyst for change, inspiring them to challenge the darkness that had once lurked beneath the surface of their city. With newfound purpose, Mark continued his work as an Uber driver, forever vigilant for signs of danger and secrecy. He had learned that even the most mundane interactions could lead to unexpected revelations, and he was determined to use his unique vantage point to make a difference. The memory of the ride of shadows remained etched in his mind, a constant reminder that the line between innocence and sinister intentions was often thin and easily crossed. As for Sarah, the experience had given her a fresh start. With the network dismantled and her past behind her, she embarked on a new path, channeling her determination and resilience into advocacy work. Her journey from victim to survivor to fighter was a testament to the strength that could be found in the face of darkness. The memory of the suspicious Uber ride and the enigmatic encounter at the rundown building would forever be a part of Mark and Sarah's lives. Their paths had intersected in the shadows, leading them on a journey that had unraveled secrets and tested their courage. The ride that had seemed ordinary had transformed into a tale of resilience, determination, and the unyielding pursuit of truth in a world where sinister intentions could hide beneath even the most innocent facades.